Hello, you're listening to the Hello Weights podcast. We are live from Warhorns Festival, the home of heavy music and heavy weight. It's our first interview today, so lots of exciting stuff to look forward to with some other content later on as well. So, we're very privileged to have with us Oliver Böhm. Oliver from Isarnos and any other musical projects, Oliver?
Quite a few.
Okay, tell us about them.
I did a couple of guest instrumental parts on the track for Footprints in the Custard. And I've got some stuff for a black metal band from Scotland, hopefully recording this year. But most importantly, trying to get my own band together and get the album sorted.
Fantastic. Okay, so as you may have figured out already, Oliver is a multi-instrumentalist. We will be talking a bit about that, and we will also be talking a bit about fitness today. So first of all, Ollie, thanks for agreeing to talk to me today. Tell me a bit about who you are and tell me a bit about what it is you do.
So obviously I have my own band, Isarnos, which I play flutes and whistles, bagpipes, and various bouzouki and mandolins and random string instruments. I've also done guest performances with other bands, and I also have a real job in what I call marketing IT, which is basically like a service desk where you get tickets and just resolving IT issues for marketing people, which is incredibly boring.
Yeah, tell me more about that last one. No, I'm kidding.
No.
So that's really, really cool. So what got you into, so obviously you play a lot of, how would I put it, traditional instruments, I would say. What got you into that as opposed to maybe more like guitar, bass?
Yeah,
stuff?
well, I've been playing guitar since I was about 12 years old. So like near on 20 years, thereabouts. Genuinely what got me into playing traditional instruments was I was really drunk one night about 6 years ago, and I got back from the pub. I was out with some friends from work, and Braveheart, the movie, was on TV, and it had the Irish uilleann pipes and it had the Irish flute, and I was like, holy shit, I need to do that. So then I bought myself an Irish whistle and taught myself that, and then bought a set of bagpipes, taught myself how to play the bagpipes, and then went on to all the other random instruments, the hurdy-gurdy, the viola, everything from there, really.
Nice. And so incorporating those sort of traditional instruments with, I guess, heavy metal, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bands that do it, just not in the UK so much, not in England. I mean, you've got a few really good bands in Ireland. You've got Celtachaw, you've got Crooken, you've got Nacrinya, who have called it a day now, and you've got Waylander. And in the UK, not so much anymore. I mean, there's a Forest of Stars that have a flute violin player, and obviously, it's not as big a thing as it is in Ireland or mainland Europe, but it's a lot of fun.
You hop over the sea to Scandinavia.
Oh yeah, yeah.
An enormous amount.
If you go to Scandinavia, then there's so many bands that do that kind of thing. Monogram are one of my favourites. You go to Eastern Europe, you've got Skyforger. You go to Russia, you've got Arcona. All over the place in mainland Europe, but not so much in the UK.
Cool, brilliant. So let's talk a bit about fitness. How long have you been training now?
On and off, and very inconsistently, about the last 10 years. So when I started university, I was really, really underweight. I was about 8.5 stone. So I started initially Thai boxing, and I did Wing Chun and Shaolin boxing. I then started using the gym and doing resistance training, and kind of got hooked on that a little bit.
Would you describe yourself as a hard gainer?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, my family, so my mother's family is Irish. And,
right. Okay.
All very small people.
All right.
Very skinny people. So yes, I would describe myself as a hard gainer. And obviously, because I don't eat meat or dairy at all, I have to consume a lot of food to get the calorie surplus.
Yep.
To be able to gain weight.
Yep.
So
makes sense.
now it's a even bigger challenge. So after uni, I didn't quite keep up with the sport so much, but I carried on playing like five-a-side football and things like that. I got really into powerlifting for a few years. So I was at one point quite proud of my deadlift. So I was able to do, because I did 5x5 basic training for all the heavy lifts and then supporting exercises, like 3 sets of 8 to 12. I got my deadlift up to sets of 5 with about 185 kilos, which at the time I was about 82 kilos.
But that body weight's incredible.
Yeah. Actually, I've really enjoyed bodyweight exercise as well. So, pull-ups and burpees and all of that stuff. I think it's good to be able to control your own body, particularly if you're a small guy like me. Obviously, I'm never going to be able to, lift like the big guys because I just don't have that body type. So,
yeah, but the conditioning's right there.
Yeah, conditioning's very important.
Yeah, and it's also like, I find that it depends what you're training for, right? If you want to be a competitive powerlifter, and that's your one goal, and really to be a competitive powerlifter, you can't have any other goals. Then you make all the sacrifices associated with that, and then your reward is you get to be competitive. If you win the genetic lottery and you happen to be one of those guys, then you can go do some powerlifting, right?
Yeah.
But for most people, for me, for you, for pretty much anyone getting in the gym, what they're actually going to be doing is, one, having a hobby that improves the quality of life that they've got.
Yeah.
And two, hopefully making their other daily activities and life easier.
Yeah.
And giving them some sort of value back beyond just, being able to post big numbers on Instagram, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I was at university, I spent a lot more time doing fitness activities because that was my free time. Whereas now, I work 50 odd hours a week. I have the band, I have promotional activities I do. Obviously, I'm involved with Warhorns Festival. So I have so much other things going on outside the 9 to 5. My goals now are very, very different because I don't have enough time to commit in the same way that I used to. So my goals are not so much now in terms of numbers of lifts. It's maintaining a certain level of fitness that complements and enhances the rest of my life.
Yeah, exactly. And you built up like a firm sort of base of strength and general conditioning, which is obviously, for most people, I would guess, don't ever do that, which is, for anyone who thinks maybe they don't have a lot of time to do some lifting, and maybe they think, well, what if I can't do it in 5 years? So why should I bother starting now?
Yeah.
If you've got the time now, you should do it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even like if you want to, lift and you want to get a good level of fitness, you can do it in a couple of hours, a couple of times a week. You don't have to be that guy that's in every day. You don't have to do, 5-day splits with different body parts and isolation exercise. You don't have to do that. Even if you just spend 1 day a week, 1 day per lift, 3 days a week, and just do squats, deadlifts, bench, barbell or dumbbell. And if you do that for, 3-4 months, you'll start getting a good level of fitness, and that actually complements everything else. So if you want to get into, like, I do a lot of rowing, and I remember actually before I joined the gym, I could barely do 10 or 12 push-ups, but after 3 months in the gym, suddenly I could do 30 push-ups without even thinking about it. And it's just because you've built that foundation.
Yeah.
So even just home fitness stuff becomes much easier and much more enjoyable.
Well, sort of taking you back to your point of like 5-day splits and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like when people join a gym and they want to go and lift weights, often it's because I know one of the things that made me want to go and do that was that I saw like Pumping Iron. Right.
Oh, the Schwarzenegger movie.
And I was like, right, that's cool. I want to go and like be like Arnie and lift some weights, right? But actually, as a beginner, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
like you really shouldn't go in and do like a 5-day split. You will quit after day 3.
Yeah. And that's not even getting to the discussion about performance enhancing substances because, you know, like bodybuilders are not something you should ever aspire to be.
Yeah.
Unless you want to be a bodybuilder, in which case, you know, like the performance enhancing substances are almost mandatory.
Pretty much.
To be able to compete at that level.
I mean, if you want to see what it looks like when you don't take them, check out the natural bodybuilding athletes, and
absolutely.
you'll see that they're a lot smaller than Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's a guy called Nimai Delgado, who I follow on Instagram, who is a vegan bodybuilder. I can't obviously comment on whether or not he uses any performance-enhancing substances, but he manages to get to a phenomenal physique without having meat or dairy or eggs or anything like that at all, entirely plant-based protein sources. So, yeah, that's really cool to see, and that is something to aspire to.
At the moment, I've got a friend who's training with me she's vegan, and she's gaining strength really well. So I guess it's worth pointing out, if you are a beginner, you will see changes really quickly.
Yes.
And you will put on muscle mass fairly. It's actually quite hard to not just gain a lot of strength and muscle mass in the first couple of months.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it is actually the diet.
Yeah.
I think when people aren't seeing progression that they want to, it's not so much the lift, it's the diet. So, you know, you can go to the gym 3, 4, 5 days a week and do your lifts. You can do 3-day splits, 5-day splits, compound exercises, isolation exercises, whatever. But actually, it's the lack of protein intake and calorie surplus, which means you're not seeing any gains. So what happens is you end up overtraining and...
Yeah, if you're not eating enough calories to recover.
Exactly.
Then it falls apart.
Yep.
But yeah, for beginners, they have this sort of, from the untrained beginner, they have a phenomenal like spurt of growth.
Mm.
It does slow down for everyone.
Oh yeah.
It's like when you start to enter your sort of intermediate phase, is when all that slows down. You have to work a lot harder.
Yeah. And the same thing for me, like when I was 23, 24, when I was in my big lifting phase, I was so much bigger than I am now.
Yeah.
Because, number one, I had the time to commit to it. And number two, obviously I was younger.
Yeah.
So now being 30 odd.
Yeah,
it's a lot more difficult. The older you get, the more difficult it is to gain and maintain muscle mass and strength and everything like that. Because your body's fighting against you.
You probably wouldn't find a lot of competitive strength athletes in any discipline that started past age 19.
No, they're all young guys.
Yeah.
They're all young guys.
They all started training when they were
bodybuilders. Bodybuilding, you can kind of do almost to any age up to 50 odd. Again, that's because of performance enhancing substances. It's not, just diet and training. But yeah, if you look at the Olympics, the Olympic lifters and Olympic athletes, they're all, sub 25.
Yep. They're taking advantage of higher amounts of growth hormone, higher amounts of testosterone, natural.
Which your body produces naturally up to a certain age.
Yeah. And they were also probably reasonably genetically gifted as well if they made it to the Olympics.
Oh yeah, if they made it to the Olympics, then absolutely.
And so so like they are inspiring, but I always kind of tell people you're probably not going to make it to that level. And so if that's your goal, like shoot for that goal. Yeah. Absolutely aim for those stars.
Yeah.
But realistically, if that's the only thing that's going to drive your training, and it may not work out that way. Yeah,
I mean, it's all about like setting yourself goals and having aspirations, but also being realistic. Because if you have unrealistic expectations, then you're only going to get demotivated very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, for someone like me, looking at Arnold Schwarzenegger or any of the pro bodybuilder, Mr. Universe guys, it's an unrealistic expectation.
Yeah.
Whereas if you, look at guys who are not professional bodybuilders, but actually are athletes in a controlled environment such as the Olympics, then that's something you can aspire towards. And like Olympic athletes are phenomenally strong in the weightlifting category, but they're not that big. So then there's the question of, well, what's the goal? Is it strength or is it size? And I've always trained for strength rather than size.
Yeah.
Because I'm never going to be a big guy.
Yep.
But,
Olympic weightlifting is really interesting. Like it's I've played around with Olympic lifting, like snatches and cleans and things like that. And it's so technique driven.
Yes.
That you could easily spend one of your gym days a week on technique and nothing else.
Yeah.
And
yeah, absolutely. But again, if you look at them, they're not like huge guys, but they're phenomenally strong because it's all in the technique, it's all in the posture, it's all in the, the bone structure and strength in that way.
And you see like even some of the tested powerlifting league, which is just big fat guys that can lift a lot of weight, right? Like men that look like fridges that just they've got a killer deadlift and a squat, right? But
they're as wide as they are tall.
But they couldn't do
a single pull up.
Yeah, definitely. And they also couldn't do that that squat. No, not squat, sorry. They couldn't do that snatch.
No.
And they couldn't do that clean. And a lot of it's because when they chose to specialize into powerlifting, one of the reasons they did it was because genetically they aren't that explosive, but they are strong.
Yeah.
But over slow movement.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so like if they were really explosive, their strength wouldn't be as important because they could still put a lot of force behind a bar and lift it up. So yeah, I think that's always an interesting thing to see. Like, but what you were saying is like you built this really diverse sort of grounding of different disciplines and fitnesses.
Yeah.
Which is obviously really useful because it means that if you specialize too early, like if you let's say I'm not talking about athletes here, I'm talking about most people who train, normal people. Let's say they go in, they've been training for 6 months, and then they decide they want to be a CrossFitter, right? That's cool. And then they dedicate all their time and resources to being really good at CrossFit. That is cool. That they've got that motivation, that discipline. But the downside is that they will have these enormous like gaps in their complete physical fitness because they didn't do various other things. Maybe their conditioning is shit hot, but their strength sucks.
Yeah,
because they've chosen to go down that CrossFit.
Yeah, I don't want to get into CrossFit too much because it's a very divisive topic.
The lifting.
But I think generally the biggest challenge is not understanding your own body.
Yeah,
and not understanding your own body type and what you're capable of.
Yep.
So you need to really understand your body type, your bone structure, your general physique, and then tailor your training to your goals, but also what your body is capable of. So, like I say, when I was younger, I was really into powerlifting, but I would never be up. I found it interesting and I enjoyed it. I'd never be able to get into a competitive level because I have, a narrow body, I have narrow shoulders, narrow hips. So I was never going to be able to deadlift 300 kilos.
Yep.
I'd never be able to squat 200 kilos.
Yeah.
So it's a balance between doing what you enjoy doing because that's motivating if you enjoy doing it.
Yep.
But also understanding your own capabilities and your own limitations.
So that's how I feel about strongman. Like, I love strongman.
Yeah.
Like, feats of strength, circus bullshit. Love it. Right. Yep. And it's one of the things that sort of drives my interest in strength and conditioning and stuff like that. And that was really, really interesting to me. And I love doing the movements, like the log is really cool, the Atlas stones, all that stuff is really good fun. I would be a terrible strongman. And
same here.
I'm not tall enough.
No
way.
No. I mean, I watch World's Strongest Man, WSM events. I really enjoy watching it.
Yep.
But, I'm never going to be Magnus Magnusson.
No.
I'm never going to be any of those guys because they're just genetics. They're tall, they're big, they're wide.
They're also on performance-enhancing drugs. It's untested.
Potentially.
So,
is WSM untested?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay.
WSM is untested, so they're all on the gear. But also, like, they're just massive. Like, so even someone who looks short in strength, like in powerlifting, sorry, in strongman term, like Eddie Hall,
Oh yeah,
right? He's massive, like he's tall,
yeah.
but you don't realize it till you meet the guy. Like I've got
Yeah.
I got a photo earlier this year. Went to like a spoken word thing where Eddie Hall and Brian Shaw
Oh yeah.
were doing a tour together and talking
Nice.
about their careers and stuff. And we got to meet both of them. And it looks like a family photograph in which I am the child. Like they're just enormous men.
Yeah.
Brian is a monster. I've never seen a man so big.
Oh yeah, I mean, what's his name from Game of Thrones? Hasper Bjornsson. Hasper Bjornsson. He's absolutely gigantic.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you've got to compete at something like WSM or that kind of thing, it's not the same as, say, boxing where you have weight categories.
No.
It's you're all in there together and you can either do the lifts for the weight that's on that challenge, or you can do the number of reps for the same piece of equipment, like the log and things like that. It doesn't take into account your body size the way that, say, boxing does or Olympic lifting does.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, you're never going to do strongman unless you're 6'6" and 300 pounds.
Like strongman does have weight classes, but only up to like amateur.
Yeah.
Once you're in the pro level, it's all open.
Yeah, So when you get to WSM,
it doesn't
matter what size you are.
The world's is an open, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you can be tiny and wide, but really well built, like Zadruna Savitska. He was just a fridge of a man. Or you can be like Brian Shaw, who is just a freak. He's like 7'2". He's massive.
Yeah.
And your height will also help you, right? So you've got long levers, so everything you lift is easier for you because it takes less force. Yeah,
which is very different to powerlifting, where they're all really short.
Yeah,
because they have lower centers of gravity.
Yeah.
So there's
the dream for a deadlifter is short legs, right?
Yeah,
because it's got less distance to travel.
Exactly, and the dream for a bencher is short arms.
Yeah.
So, which is why I'm very unlucky, because I have long legs and long lanky arms. So I was never destined to do that.
I've got short legs but a very long torso. So my squat looks mental. I have to even on a low bar squat, I have to stay really vertical because my torso is so fucking long. Cool. So what does so obviously you're in the off season at the moment. It's the summer for you.
Oh yeah.
So let's assume you're not in the off season. What would your program look like?
I tend to do 3 days a week, maybe 4. So I do full body compound lifts. So my main lifts are 5x5, so squat, bench, deadlift, and then supporting it. Excuse me. Supporting exercises, 6 to 8 reps. So obviously like incline dips, weighted dips, pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, that kind of thing. And then I'll do 1 day a week conditioning. So boxing, and then high rep isolation exercises, and then like rowing, I'll row like 10k or whatever afterwards at the end of the workout. And to make sure that my cardio doesn't go to shit.
Was that 4 days a week?
Yeah.
Mostly?
Yeah. Oh, when it gets to winter and it's not so fucking hot, then it'll be back 4 days a week. But in summer it's difficult because obviously, it's festival season, so I go to a lot of gigs, I travel a lot, like I've been to 7 different countries or whatever it is this summer. It's difficult. So I have I have my resistance bands that I take round with me in my rucksack so that I can do, resisted, whatever the word is, body weight exercises in hotels and stuff like that. It's difficult to get into a gym and lift properly in summer when I'm around so much. So
when you're back on, do you find that it comes back quite quickly?
Yeah, it's actually weird. So I've had injuries and stuff where I've been out for like 3-4 months, but then it just takes 4 to 6 weeks and my lifts are okay again.
Cool.
Like I say, I don't have, compared to when I was in my early mid-20s, I don't have the time to commit as much training as I can, or maybe I'd like. So I'm never going to be benching 50 kilo dumbbells again. But it's about, having a level of fitness which is reasonable within my lifestyle, which is very different now to what it was 10 years ago.
Okay. So do you still make training goals in that sense? And what purpose does it serve to you now?
Yeah. So I still kind of have aspirations of lifting and stuff like that. Like, I'm never going to be able to deadlift like I used to. I'm never going to be able to squat like I used to, But now it's kind of, my goal now is kind of to try and get to the best level of fitness that I can. So it's like an open-ended goal. It's constantly trying to improve in everything, whether it's lifts, whether it's rowing, trying to get that extra kilometer, whether it's, trying to, what I do a lot actually with rowing is reduce the time. So as in, try and beat your 10K by 20 seconds, by 30 seconds, by a minute, and do that as well. But, making sure that goals are reasonable within the time you have.
Cool. And it's the idea that, I know for me, like, one of the ways that improves my life, I suppose, is, so the big thing I want to do with my time is music based. I spend time like playing to people and putting that energy out there on stage, and the physical fitness improvements given to me by training this way just make that whole process easier.
Yeah.
I mean, I can give more.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, obviously I play the Irish flute and the bagpipes as well, which
You need
is
that air.
Yeah, exactly, all that air. So actually, the rowing and the cardio and the conditioning training is really, really helpful, because it increases your breathing, and it changes the way that you breathe and control your airflow, which is really, really useful. So yeah, absolutely does have a positive impact on myself as a musician. But also as well, like, it just helps generally. Like, if you exercise regularly, you sleep better.
Yep.
You wake up feeling better. You can wake up earlier. And I have to dedicate so much time to music practice in my week. I need to kind of have quite a strict structure to my week to make sure that I can, get all the work that I have to do done for my job, and do everything that I have to do for my band and the promotion activity and all that, and try and fit the gym around that and schedule instrument practice. So I think the thing that people probably don't say enough about weightlifting or a gym routine is that by having regular scheduled gym sessions and sticking to it, it helps you stick to a routine, and then you get more into the mentality of having a routine, which has a positive impact on everything else in your life. And for me, having a routine, having set structured things that I need to do on a daily basis or a weekly basis, actually makes my life a lot easier, and it makes me a lot more productive.
Yeah, I find it's phenomenally good for keeping on top of and maintaining mental health as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So like, you just feel, when you're in the gym and you're doing it, it feels really, it's going to sound stupid, it feels really good to just do the things that you said you were going to do. Right?
Yeah.
To set yourself, even if they're tiny goals, and actually do them, you sort of feel like you're taking control of your own life. And you can
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're setting yourself goals and you're working towards them. And when you work towards them and you get closer to achieving them, it's a good feeling.
And I also find, like, and this is, even though the style of music that we would play is quite miserable, it's actually really hard to write it if you're miserable. Like, if you're in that headspace of being miserable. Because actually, when you are miserable, you don't want to do fucking anything. Like, you're just like, I just want to sit around, right?
Yeah.
So actually, in a sort of perverse way, I have to like make myself happier to write doom metal. So and I would imagine it's probably the same to do a lot of other different genres.
Yeah, no,
well.
I completely agree. I think, like with anything, I mean, a lot of the best music comes from very dark places. But at the same time, when you're demotivated to do one thing, you're going to be demotivated to do anything else. So like, if you can't motivate yourself to get up, to exercise, to cook properly, to eat properly, it's going to be difficult to motivate yourself to write music. So yeah, it's all very much intertwined.
And also, you just become unnecessarily critical of your own work at the same time as well. Like you start writing something, and actually, maybe it's not brilliant, but it's almost there, and you're sort of writing it, but then you just think, oh, this is shit. Why do I bother? You start like giving up on yourself, right?
Yeah.
So so it's. I wonder if that's why there is such a strong correlation between like this genre or this type of music and also fit.
I don't know. I mean, like, I think most musicians are always their own worst enemy, their own biggest critic. But I think, I mean, there's a lot of guys in bands and, they're hugely into fitness. Actually, one of my biggest inspirations was Greg Picciotto from Dillinger Escape Plan. Was a massive, massive guy, and he originally aspired to be a bodybuilder, but because he's completely straight edge, when he realized that everyone was taking performance substances, he stopped. But I mean, like, both musically, like, he's one of my favorite vocalists as well, and he's, he's got the physique, 'cause we're about the same height.
Yep.
So he's got the physique that I aspired to. So it's that kind of thing. There's a lot of guys in metal who do work out. I mean, obviously the Misfits are a huge thing. If you look at, Doyle and Danzig, and Danzig. Exactly. Doyle was absolutely ripped. Danzig was a big guy.
He's square.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there's
Matt Heafy from Trivium is.
Oh yeah, he is
really
now, isn't he? Yeah, he is now. He used to be such a skinny little guy.
No, he got proper into like taekwondo.
Yeah,
that's where he started doing.
Yeah, and even like, no one likes Avenged Sevenfold, but the vocalist was a big muscly guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are people out there in bands that are, and to be fair, that's good, because it like helps people that are into metal aspire to that.
Yep.
Whereas it takes away the like jock mentality.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, of like, gym guys being, the rats with the vests and the awful haircuts, and it's clean shaven, and all of that stuff, and
actually sort of want it to be for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so saying Greg from Dillinger and Doyle from the Misfits were two massive inspirations for me.
Even
to see guys in metal bands or punk bands being
Henry Rollins was a massive influence.
Yeah, he was.
On me. Yeah. So Henry Rollins was a really big influence. One of the things that so obviously he's done all his spoken word stuff.
Yeah.
And one of his spoken word pieces, he talks about how he got into lifting weights. And that was a huge inspiration. Yeah. Really, really good. I don't want to ruin it for anyone who's listening, but I think he calls it The Iron or something like that. And if you can find that, that's
really,
on
YouTube.
Good. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Mm.
Cool. So, what are your musical goals?
So, literally 2 days ago, I just flew back from Belfast in Ireland. We're recording strings for the Isarnos album, which was really, really cool. It felt really nice for me to record, folk fiddle playing in Ireland. It felt like really nice and authentic compared to the demos I recorded in 2014, 2015, which was literally in my flat in Surrey. So it felt very nice to be out there and to get that done.
What made you choose Ireland?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you choose Ireland?
Well, because if you're going to record folk fiddle playing, then it's either going to be Ireland, Scotland, or the west coast of France.
Yeah, fair point.
Make it more authentic.
Cool.
So it felt really nice to be there with a producer that knew, or not producer, a engineer that knew how to record fiddle properly.
Yeah.
So we're going to get the Isarnos album done, and then after that, just working out what I want to do next. I've written, over the past couple of years, I've written so much music, like everything from funeral doom to atmospheric black metal to like acoustic country folk, kind of Me and That Man, Devil Makes Three kind of vibe. So it's just deciding what I want to record next.
Cool. Have you got a date that you're aiming to have for the Isarnos stuff done by?
No, I mean, we're taking it slowly because we've been gigging now since 2016, and we want to make sure that the album is done absolutely perfectly and it has everything on it that I aspired to when I started writing the music in 2014. So we started recording in May, and I'd rather take until November to have everything that I want done and done right than try to rush through it to get something out.
Yep.
We've got some phenomenal guest musicians going to appear on the album. Violin players, vocalists, harp. We've got a harp player, a special guest harp player. That'll be announced through the Facebook page. But like I say, it's just about making sure that the album is done the best it can be whenever it gets released, rather than trying to hit a date and making sacrifices to hit a arbitrary deadline.
Once the album's out, are you going to play a number of shows to support it?
Hopefully. We're going to do a lot more shows next year than we've done in this last year.
Okay.
Because we had the one show with Violander in London. That was an awesome show, but we wanted to make sure that we were focusing on the album and not trying to rehearse and play for shows, because the way we perform the songs live is very different to how they're going to be recorded on the album. So when we had the guitarists in the studio, it was quite an interesting experience trying to get them to relearn how to play the songs to match how they needed to sound on the album compared to how we perform live.
Right.
Because obviously when we perform live, we have one violinist, we have one hurdy-gurdy player, and we have myself who does the bouzouki and the mandolin and the flutes and the whistles and the bagpipes in between different parts. But on the album, we're talking about having, 4 different violin parts and 2 or 4 different flute and whistle parts and so many more layers. So everything behind that, what the guitars do, what the bass does, what the drums do, is obviously going to be different.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Exciting stuff. And people can find out about that through your Facebook page, through your website, isarnos.com.
Facebook.com/Isarnos, or just isarnos.com.
Cool. Excellent. Look forward to hearing more about that. That's really cool. Tell me, so we've talked a little bit about this, but I don't doubt people want to know more. Tell me about your approach to diet and nutrition.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned before, I'm basically vegan. So I don't eat meat, I don't eat dairy, I don't eat eggs, I don't eat things with those products in them. So I eat a lot of whole foods. So I do a lot of my own cooking. I really enjoy cooking. So I do a lot of my own curries with, chickpeas and lentils. I'll do like a bolognese with legumes and stuff like that. But I also don't have a massive fast food craving on quite a regular basis. So I make my own seitan, which is made from wheat. And it's delicious. So I do my own, Kentucky fried batter. I've got a deep fat fryer at home, so I can make my own junk food. I do chip shop style Chinese sweet and sour balls. I make my own sweet and sour sauce. I make all my own sauces and everything myself. And actually, it's really rewarding. Like, I really enjoy cooking and making my own meals and stuff like that. I don't take any supplements or anything like that. I think I've been working in marketing for 10 years, so I can say with a fair amount of confidence that supplements are 90% marketing, 10% actual benefit. So yeah, it's just maintaining a good diet, getting the calorie surplus, making sure you're getting the right amount of vitamins and fats and proteins and everything. Generally, I'm quite low carb.
Not easy as a vegan, I imagine,
to maintain low carb.
To be low carb.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. So when you're making a bolognese, and you'll have your mincemeat, which has your fats and your proteins.
Yeah.
And then you'll have your pasta, which has your carbs.
Yeah.
If you want to do a vegan style, if you have chickpeas and you have lentils and you have legumes, that's both proteins and carbs.
Yep.
So you just have less pasta, but more of the protein source. So more legumes and carbs. So actually, the balance of your meals changes when you stop eating meat. You don't think about, I need this amount of meat to have this amount of protein and fat and then this amount of carbs. You're getting the proteins and the carbs from the same sources.
I'm training with someone who's on a vegan diet at the moment, and it's really interesting planning nutrition for her.
Yeah.
Because every single protein source comes with its own source of carbs.
Yeah.
And because of that, and also there's amino acid profiles to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's doable. I mean, it's not, it's not.
I've been doing it for the last 2 years.
But yeah, it's a different challenge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's just the approach. I mean, when people are serious about not eating meat and animal products, you just restructure your diet completely. So it's not just about substituting meat. It's restructuring your diet and your approach to making meals to make sure that you get the macro and micronutrients you need within one meal.
Yeah, I can imagine you end up looking to like traditionally vegan cultures for ideas on what to cook and how, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so like you look like Indian food is traditionally at least vegetarian, often vegan.
Yeah. Just they use a lot of butter in their cooking, but yeah, you can substitute that. And to be fair, I really enjoy Indian food and I really enjoy spicy food, and I do a lot of it myself. Luckily, we live in the age where you have Facebook and Instagram, and there's just an infinite source repository of recipe ideas and cooking ideas, which is completely vegan. So it's easier now to not eat animal products than it ever has been.
Yeah, definitely.
If you choose to do that,
like the range of vegan products in supermarkets is phenomenal compared to what it was 5 years ago.
There's two sides of it. Yeah, there's more vegan products now than there ever has been in terms of like meat substitutes. But at the same time, if you follow a whole food diet, then like I say, chickpeas, legumes, beans, nuts, all of the animal-free sources of proteins and everything have always been there. So it's more about crafting a diet and meal plan.
Yeah.
And working around that. So like I don't have a lot of meat substitute products.
Yeah,
so
I'd
I get a
imagine
junk food craving a couple of times a week. So I'll make my own fried chicken or I'll make my own burgers or something like that.
I'd imagine there's two sides to like meat replacement products, right? Which is one that's the marketplace has seen that's a really good way to make money, right?
Yeah.
And so they've gone, all right, cool. This is something we can sell. Like it's harder to sell bananas.
Oh yeah.
than it is to sell.
I think there's three ways. Is number one is the whole food diet, which is what I try and stick to.
Yeah.
Number two is the people that really enjoy the food that comes from animal products, but without wanting to harm animals.
Yeah.
So the burgers, the chicken dippers, all of that stuff, the hot dogs. And number three is converting people that currently eat meat to eat less meat.
Yeah.
And a lot of friends I have are eating less meat and switching to animal-free options for a lot of their foods. Yeah. And that's great because every little helps.
Well, Arnie is now. Did you see that?
Yes, Schwarzenegger is. Yeah, right. He's in that documentary as well, isn't he?
He's
Game Changers.
I saw that. Yeah. I
think he says he's vegetarian, but perhaps not completely vegan. But he doesn't eat meat or eggs anymore.
I think there's a lot of. I appreciate his honesty.
Yeah,
because obviously, Arnie is a reason. One of the big reasons, like people
for a lot of people
eat steak and eggs.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, Arnie is the reason a lot of people get into fitness.
Yeah,
I think obviously. Being the age I am now, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
When I was a kid growing up.
Big guys, Lou Ferrigno as well.
Oh, exactly. Oh, Lou Ferrigno. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you... Yeah, so what Arnie says about the diet he used to have when he was 20 and a competitive bodybuilder versus the diet he has now.
Yep.
Obviously, he's older now. He's never going to be back in that same shape and size. He doesn't take performance-enhancing drugs anymore. But now you're learning a lot more about how to fuel your body. Yeah. And there's so much more research out there now.
He's eating for longevity.
It's not just the whole thing. Yes, it's longevity. It's not just about, swallowing down as much steak and eggs as you can fit into a day.
Yeah, I used to drink a gallon of milk a day.
Go mad.
Go mad. Yeah. That's the old school bodybuilding way. I was talking about before the protein powder was a thing.
Yeah.
They used to eat like baby formula.
Yeah.
Because it was
dried protein milk and vitamins. Yeah, exactly. It was dried milk with added vitamins. Yeah. And then you had the go mad diet of drinking whole organic milk a gallon a day.
Yeah, if you're not.
And I mean, there's lots of trends, but I think the important thing is a lot of these trends that were relevant 40 years ago are no longer relevant today.
I think if you're looking for a healthy way,
marketing.
If you're looking for a healthy way to live, a bodybuilding diet is not it.
No, because the objective of bodybuilders is not to be healthy.
It's to be big.
It's to be big and vascular.
Lean. Yeah. Big and lean.
Exactly. So my goal has never been to be a bodybuilder. My goal has always been to be healthy and to be in good shape.
Cool. So tell me the top 3 things you wish you knew before you started training.
Number 1, you don't need supplements. I tried, when I was 20, when I was at university, tried creatine and stuff like that, and it just didn't do anything. I don't believe that you actually need any supplements. Again, it's marketing. Number 2, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It takes a long time, particularly as a small guy like I am, or I used to be, as a hard gainer. It takes a long time. You get the initial gains and you plateau, and then it takes a long time to take the next step up. So it's, just be patient and stick to it. And number 3, commitment and regularity. So it doesn't matter so much, if you miss a day, just make sure you go when you're next available. Because the biggest problem is, you skip a couple of days or you skip a week, and then you just get out of the habit and you just think, I'm going to have a bad day. I'm not going to be able to lift well, so I won't bother. And then the next thing you know is it's 3 months and you've not been to the gym.
And you've detrained.
And you've detracted, exactly. Yeah. So, just commitment.
Cool. And the same question, but top 3 things you wish you knew before you formed a band.
Oh, God. How to answer this without being really controversial.
No names.
No names. Number 1, a lot of people can be incredibly self-serving. So you think people are helping you and supporting you, but actually it's because they want to get something out of it. And I hate to say it, but being in a band where we have 2 girls in the band, I've had a lot of issues with promoters, guys from other bands, just creepy incel shit and it's a real shame because it put them off being in the band. And I don't want to have to make public posts to say stop being creepy fucking weirdos just because they're on stage musicians and they have a vagina. But it kind of almost got to that point a couple of times, and it's really, really sad. So number 2, same thing with the gym, commitment. Like, it takes a lot of time. You can't just record some music and go, here we go, we're a band, we record some music, go listen to it and come to our shows. You've got to make the effort. You've got to network. You've got to get yourself out there. You've got to do a lot to promote yourself. And in this day and age where everything's online anyway, you've got to give people a reason to want to go and see your band instead of just sitting at home. I vehemently disagree with all the posting online about supporting the scene and all that lot. I believe people should be, people have jobs, like we all work. I work a 50-hour week and I earn money, and people have jobs and they earn money. They are entitled to spend that money and their time, their free time, however they want. So if people don't want to go and see your band, that's not their fault. That's you're not giving them a big enough reason to want to go and see your band. So what I try and do is make as much reason as possible for people to want to see my band. And if they don't, that's a reflection on my band, not a reflection on the people. Sorry, bit of a rant there.
That's fine. I agree completely.
Number 3, it costs a lot more money than you think it will be to be in a band. I mean, we've been ridiculous. Isarnos, like we've had 7 people in the band, or 8 people, I think, at one point. So, renting minibuses and all of this, like, it costs so much money to do gigs that you're then not getting paid for. I think just be prepared that it's going to cost a lot of money for very little return. And
especially in extreme music, that sort of scene. Oh God, you're never going to turn a profit. If you got into this to make money, you're in the wrong genre.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's a labor of love. Yeah, absolutely. But same with the gym.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a labor of love. You do it for the passion, not for the return.
Cool. I think you've answered this one already, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you were told you'd never hit another PR, and that you've had your day in the gym, would you still show up?
Well, I already do.
Yeah.
I've had my day. My day was when I was 24, and I was,
Are you still hitting PRs though?
No.
You're hitting like fitness PRs, conditioning PRs? No?
No. Because it's a different goal. Like when I was 24 or 22, I didn't have a band, I didn't have musical projects.
Okay.
So outside of work, powerlifting was my thing.
Okay.
So that's when I was hitting like deadlifts 185 kilos and 5x5s. 1 rep max was about 135 or 235, sorry. Squats were 190, benches were 100 something. But now, obviously, I'm older, I have more responsibilities, I have a house, I have a mortgage, I have a 50-hour-a-week job, I have the band, I have promotion activity, I have all this other stuff that I have to do. I know that I'm never going to be the level I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But the goal now is different.
So
the goal now is not to be able to lift as heavy as possible. The goal now is not the biggest numbers. It's maintaining a level of fitness which complements the rest of my life.
So your goal now
also makes me feel good.
Is to be healthier than last week, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. The goal is always self-improvement.
Yeah.
Goal is always self-improvement. But for me now, self-improvement is about general fitness and health levels and not so much about big numbers, because I know that I'm never going to get them again.
If people want to find you online, where can they do it?
Me personally or the band?
Both.
Facebook.com/Isarnos, or I'm on Instagram, beards.beer.and.bagpipes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Ollie, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Come with me if you want to lift.
Okay, that was really, really cool. Warhorns was great fun. A lot of really good bands there. I managed to get a couple of interviews done, so they'll be coming out in the next few weeks, next few episodes. Let me know what you think, and if there's anyone in particular that I should be interviewing, tell me about it, because I would love to do a few more of these. Thanks again to Oliver from Isarnos. Thanks to you for tuning in and listening. Thanks to all the Warhorns crew, not only for putting on a great show, but agreeing to have me there doing the Hell Awaits stuff, which was also very, very cool of them. Just before we sign off for another couple of weeks, just a quick update on where I am. So I'm back to training now, fully after the Bloodstock weekend, and it's going okay. I've had to take some weight off of some lifts because my form was just really starting to creep, particularly in the squat. So I've had to drop 20 kilograms off the squat so I can just really focus on that form. And obviously that's just great advice for anyone. If your form starts to slip, if you start doing half squats, then you're not really working very well. So take some weight off the bar, get back to it, and then build up again and again and again until you're back at your old weight and with great form. Thanks to Cadaver Soiree. So the track that you can hear on today's podcast is called Eons of Lies, and it is from their latest album, To Betray the Creator, which you can find on their Facebook page and on their website, and I think on Bandcamp and a few other services. The track again, Eons of Lies from To Betray the Creator. Until next time, stay strong, stay heavy. Here's Eons of Lies by Cadaver Soiree in full.
Poison.
Nailed to a tree, eyes to act, blood to run, the morning star.